David Menzies for Rebel News here on Parliament Hill on the day after Ottawa Police and other members of law enforcement decided to crack down on the Freedom Convoy and their supporters. And what I want to talk about, folks, is the way the reports are being manufactured by the Ottawa Police Service. For example, they said this weekend more than 450 tickets were issued here in downtown Ottawa. But yet when you scroll down and you look at what the violations were, and I'm not kidding, one was somewhere for seatbelt violations, improper mufflers, window tinting that was too dark. Oh my goodness gracious, throw away the key. Also, what was ominous was this police statement that was issued last night. Quote, overnight, demonstrators exhibited extremely disruptive and unlawful behavior, which presented risks to public safety and unacceptable distress for Ottawa residents, end quote. Well, you know what? We were here last night on Parliament Hill. Do you want to see the disruptive and unsafe behavior of the demonstrators? Check this out.
The bikinis, rockin' lovers, driving Lamborghinis, jealous. Cause I'm out getting mine, shade with the gauge and vanilla with the 9. Ready for the chunks on the wall. The chunks acting ill because I'm full of hateful. Gunshots rings out like a bell. I grabbed my 9, all I heard was shells. Rolling on the concrete real fast. Jumped in my car, slammed on the gas. Bumper to bumper, the avenue's packed. I'm trying to get away.
Yeah, they were dancing. Imagine that, not decapitating or pulling down statues of former prime ministers, but evidently having a good time is a disruptive and unsafe issue for the people of Ottawa. Absolutely disgraceful on what's going on. And speaking of disgrace, what about the police themselves confiscating the fuel that these truckers need to power their rigs and to stay warm? In any event, I'm going to talk to Adam and Mark. They're a couple of the lawyers at the Democracy Fund, and I want to get them to weigh in to see what they have to say when it comes to people getting these tickets, when it comes to them fighting for their rights and getting a modicum of justice. Well, folks, I'm with Adam and Mark. They are a couple of the superb legal eagles with the Democracy Fund. And guys, thanks for joining me here on Parliament Hill. First question, Ottawa Police made a release hours ago where more than 450 tickets were issued. And I mean, it sounds like, goodness gracious, was there a riot? And yet when you delve down and look at what the violations were, things like seatbelt violations, improper mufflers, windshields tinted too darkly. What's your take on why the Ottawa Police were on this ticket jihad? Was it just to, I guess, make it look like they were doing something?
I mean, you know what, David, that's possible. I don't want to speculate. We're just getting this information as well. So yeah. We've just heard what you mentioned there. What we are asking anybody involved in the protest who have received a ticket to do is go to truckerlaw.ca. That's truckerlaw.ca. You can fill out a form, post your ticket, a picture of it, front and back, send it to us. We will represent you for free. We are taking all comers. We have a team of paralegals on standby, ready to go.
What great news in light of GoFundMe withholding millions of dollars. Here you are giving free legal advice. Thank you so much. The other thing I want to get your take on, gentlemen, they issued a press release that stated that overnight, that was Sunday night, demonstrators exhibited extremely disruptive and unlawful behavior which presented risks to public safety and unacceptable distress for Ottawa residents. Well, guys, we were here in this very spot just 12 hours ago. Evidently unsafe and disruptive behavior, according to the Ottawa Police. That's their way of saying a dance party broke out. What's the deal there?
Yeah, they came out and declared an emergency under what's called the Emergency Protection and Civil Management Act, I believe. And that sounds pretty scary. But as far as I know, that doesn't abrogate the charter rights that people have to free expression, freedom of assembly, as long as it's peaceful. And like you say, I've been here for a few days and all I've seen is people demonstrating peacefully. So as far as the police declaring that there's been bad conduct, well, I haven't seen any. They're going to have to prove that in court.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't seen any smashed windows. I haven't seen any toppled statues. I don't know what they're talking about. Last question, guys, and this might be the most important question. If there was any, perhaps, crime or egregious behavior that occurred last night, I would argue, and many of the people here would argue, that it was on behalf of the police by confiscating fuel. So many jerry cans of fuel destined for these trucks so that these truckers can keep warm. My question, gentlemen, is simply this. Do they have the right to do that?
It's an excellent question, David. So what we're going to do to make sure that people understand their rights when this happens is we're going to put together a pamphlet that the protesters who are here peacefully exercising their rights can have on them at all times, and they can refer to it in the case of any involvement with police officers. Okay, and we're going to run through that with them. Questions that pop into my mind: Do the police have a warrant? Did the protesters that were here ask if they had a warrant? We've heard that there were potential. I think it was 5 arrests. We were told all the charges we've heard, and again, this is hearsay, were dropped. But this is something we're going to have to look into. They said that the charges were aiding and abetting, and the base charge was a mischief charge, which in my time as a criminal lawyer, I've never seen a mischief under ending up with an aiding and abetting. So these are unprecedented times, obviously, and that's something we're going to have to look into, and we've got a plan in place to address that. We're going to get those brochures or pamphlets pumped out as soon as possible, just like we had our do's and don'ts of peaceful protesting.
Oh, you're so right. We really are in uncharted territory these days with the pandemic and the response to the pandemic. But guys, I want to thank you so much for coming out on this chilly day. And there you have it, folks. If you're getting your information from government, if you're getting your information from the mainstream media, if you're getting your info from the Ottawa Police Department, please take it with a shovel full of salt. As the saying goes, don't believe the hype. If you really want to see what's going on in Ottawa, come on down to Parliament Hill, and that will give you a clearer and more truthful picture of what's really happening when it comes to Canadian citizens standing up for their charter rights. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Well, folks, we're still in Ottawa monitoring what's going on with the trucker convoy. Naturally, we have some expenses. We're trying to keep things on the cheap, but if you can make a contribution, that would be ever so appreciated. Please go to convoyreports.com. That's convoyreports.com. And if you can help us out with $1 or $3, we would greatly appreciate your generosity.